Hey everyone, so welcome to week 5. We are doing tone and style this week, which is a lot of fun. Grab my notes here. You have quite a bit to do this week, including a final draft, right? So that's probably your number one priority alongside your readings is to get that stuff done. And what I want you to start to think about at this point is not your next essay yet. Some of you have emailed me already, but instead focusing on the criteria that your assignment gave you for the paper, right? The review essay. You are very clearly reviewing something, right? So plot might be really cool and easy to fall into. I don't need five paragraphs of plot summary, right? You're going to use the plot to defend your points. I give you that, but you're not going to give me a plot summary for 5 paragraphs and then call it a day, right? No. What you're going to do instead is you're going to find 3 characteristics or 3 good or 3 bad or however you want to categorize this kind of essay. And you're going to focus your paragraphs in on those points with the close reading skills you've used previously. And you're still working on that Sherlock piece, and I'm sure you're like, oh God, I can't wait to be done with this. We are moving this week on to Sleeping Beauty. And there are 4 stories and 1 bonus story. So you're looking at 3 relatively old versions of the story. One's from Arabian Nights, one's a Perrault piece, and one's a Grimm piece. And you're going to have a 4th piece, which is by Marquez, and it's way more recent, and you'll notice the difference in tone and style, which is the focus of this week, probably right off the bat. Your last bonus piece is a Carter piece. Angela Carter wrote quite a few fairy tale revisions, all of which are very interesting. A little difficult to read, so make sure you have your dictionary open on your computer or you're highlighting things you don't really understand. She's a little lewd. I'll give her that, right? She goes for the shock factor. So if you read the bonus piece to complete the bonus this week, it'll fit nicely with the tone and style that we're doing this week, but also with hopefully everything you've learned in the semester so far, alongside character and plot and setting and point of view. All of these things should be building those skills for the remainder of the semester. So make sure you keep them in the back of your mind even though the week is over. What I can tell you about tone and style this week is that it's heavily focused on the actual words in the text. So last week we did Harry Potter and we looked close reading, 1 line by 1 line, right? In that lecture video I sent. What we're doing this week is you're still going to close read, and you can do it with that method, or you can read it once and then read it a second time and write your notes. However you want to close read, you close read your most comfortable way. But this week is heavily focused on the words and the words strung together, the sentence structure in each piece. So you'll find that all of them have audio recordings, I think except for the Marquez piece, and you can follow along that way. Each one's maybe 11 minutes. It's not super, super long, but there are a lot of them to do, and you're doing them several times over if you're adequately exercising your mind in this class. So make sure that you're looking at the kind of piggybacking off of the atmosphere of last week's setting lesson and moved into the kind of feeling, right? Feeling of the piece given off by the words, the inferences. Now, what you want to distinctly remember, and this is going to come back to point of view, see how we're building on those skills? There is a difference between the author of a piece and the narrator of a piece, right? Those 2 voices are not necessarily the same. And as much as I love doing biographical research and looking at authorship and what the author's intentions were, we can never really know those things, right? We can never really definitively say this is what Fitzgerald meant because this is how Fitzgerald felt about fill in the blank. We can never definitively know that. We could argue all day, but we don't know it. What we can say is that this is what the narrator feels. This is how I know from the text. And that's how style and tone come into play this week. This is how the narrator feels, or this is what the narrator is trying to say, or this is how the narrator is building in character development or moving along things. So do continue to keep the old lessons in mind, but also moving around with the new lessons this week, which is text heavy, right? So you're looking at diction, you're looking at sentence structure, you're looking at tone, you're looking at organization. If you need to write on the sidelines of your paper, like, new paragraph here, dialogue here. You can go ahead and write those things down just to give yourself a bit of a note, right? Otherwise, read the pieces, build on your understanding of plot, and then move all of the fictional elements around in your mind as you get to as you get to tone and style. Okay, other things I need to tell you this week include you are going to get some group feedback once you've turned in your rough drafts. I'll give it to all of you probably midweek, maybe Thursday, right? After I read all of your papers. I'm going to give you some group feedback. I assume that your Smart Thinking Tutor responses are coming back in the correct format. I'm not really sure. Most of you have done this before, right? Smart Thinking Tutor response forms in the Dropbox aren't new to most of you. But for some of you, right, it doesn't make much sense to me that you have a Word document with your paper in it. You send it to that tutor. They send you a Word document back, and somehow you're submitting to me not a Word document. That seems ridiculous, right? It seems like a giant waste of time. You just lose points. So make sure if you're Google Chroming, if you're Google Docs, if you're using your Google Chromebooks, make sure that you're saving save as in the correct format. Check your format before submitting, or else you will lose points, or you'll have to scurry, or you'll have to email me in a panic, whatever you do, that's best. Make sure you're doing it in the right format so you can really gather all of those points. Plus you have the feedback. You don't have to worry about it, right? You can keep revising your paper. Okay, other things include nothing else. That's all of it, actually. This week is Sleeping Beauty. You're going to want to pay attention to the Maleficent. This is your third film journal. Your Maleficent journal, if only because you have a bit of an adaptation on Sleeping Beauty, of the story of Sleeping Beauty, if you will, with a backstory that's different, and how that changes then the characters you've seen, or the tone and style, this week's stuff, of the narrative itself, or if the narrator changes your mind, or those are really cool things. Make sure you read the questions in the film journal before you watch the movie, or else you might end up having to watch it twice to answer those questions adequately. We will be moving on to a few other stories and The Great Gatsby next week, I think. Don't quote me on that. It's coming up. Gatsby's coming up because I'm preparing for it. So make sure that you are really engaged with these fictional elements, right? You really understand them. You're going to have a quiz again this week. Ooh, right? Only a few questions. So that when you get to Gatsby, you're not still trying to learn the old stuff as you try to read the new stuff and then write a paper on the new stuff, right? It's a lot of sifting. That's a lot of piggybacking. Week 5 is a good place to see where am I, where can I improve, what can I build on. Week 10, not so much, right? You're going to want to do a lot more work in week 10 that has all of this base knowledge really just solidified in your mind. Okay, if you need anything, I'm available via email or Skype. I'm around, so please let me know. Otherwise, you're free, and I will see you in class.